timeouts left. The Lakers have 2. Bryant. It's a shot! A chance to send the Thunder home. Lillard, long range 3.
What's up, everybody? How we doing today? Welcome to this week's edition of the 48 Minutes Basketball Network, as my camera is nowhere near in focus right now. That's spectacular. Okay, there we go. All right, we're making this work now. So that was a start. I'm Tim Daniel. I'm here as always with Sean Mackey. And
what's going on?
Boy, do we got a lot of playoff basketball to talk about.
Woo! A lot going on.
What a fun playoffs.
It's been a wild playoffs. I mean, because I don't think anyone could have predicted what has been happening 3 months ago.
So I actually saw, going into the second round, it's the first time that there's been at least one number of each seed in the second round total. So there's a 1, there's 1-1, there's 1-2, 1-3 down the line. So I thought that was kind of cool.
That is cool.
Yeah, how often do you see a 6 versus 7 in the second round? Like, you know what I mean? So
this was we said this like earlier in the year, like this has like been one of the weirdest years because it's been completely wide open the whole year. And it totally proved it too. Everything was wide open the entire year. Honestly, the seeding, as long as someone got in the playoffs this year, they had a shot.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I mean, I go back and forth who I think, is going to win the whole thing. But it's been interesting. It's probably been one of the most interesting playoffs in a long time.
Yeah, I've had a lot of fun with it. I think we really needed one of these instead of the you're just gonna see that team run through. I mean, we are recording right now. It is halftime of the Sixers Celtics game. Sixers up 9 right now. Joel Embiid, 21 points, defending his MVP trophy. So that's solid. And we will be off the air before the Phoenix-Denver game. So if something insane happens there, we likely will not get to it on tonight's episode, obviously. But I do want to kind of talk about all the other series going on. And I do obviously want to get into these two as well. But let's talk about the Miami-New York series, because I'm not one to ever I'm the it's not over till it's over guy. But this one definitely feels like it's over. And what I mean by that, so the Heat are currently up 3-1. And what they're doing is pretty incredible, as we talked about multiple times. Jimmy Butler, again, last night, 27 points, 10 assists, 6 rebounds. Sean, look, we've always loved Jimmy Butler. We're pro Jimmy Butler guys. We miss him playing for our favorite team, obviously. But we're happy to see what he's doing, and we're always going to root for him. I think I'm at this point now where I think if I just need a player to win one game, whether it's the first game of the regular season or it's the middle of the playoffs or whatever, if I'm like, all right, I just need to win one game, I think I'm calling Jimmy Butler at this point, because we may not always win, but he's going to make sure that everything is left out there. And that's what he does.
Well, this series has been so interesting, and I know we've kind of talked a little bit about it on other pods, but the Tyler Hero injury has made this team a lot more interesting.
Yeah, it has.
We're putting the ball in Jimmy Butler's hands more. You're not seeing, I don't know what, Hero was averaging 16 a game or something, probably before he was going into this, 18. And when Jimmy Butler is against the wall in the corner is when he performs the best. And I will say this, he is one of those guys who also holds a little bit of a grudge.
Facts.
And going up against Tibbs, who arguably made him who he is today.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a fair assumption. It's definitely like one of those, Darth Vader, Obi-Wan Kenobi moments right now where it's like you were,
What have you become? I've
What have
become
you
what you made
become?
me.
Yeah, that kind of thing. So, and he's being able to do it on a huge stage in New York. And
Yeah,
the Knicks have had and the Knicks are a very good team this year. Let's like give them some credit. They have
for
had a good
sure.
season. Jalen Brunson has been unbelievable. Julius Randle dug himself out of the hole of last year and became an all-star. But he even came out after last night's game and said maybe the Heat want it more. Like when you come out and you admit that,
Yeah,
that's pretty much it, man. That is pretty much it. Bam has been unbelievable as
freaking
well.
awesome.
He has been so good. And I mean, it's looking more and more like we're going to have the Heat again in the conference finals. How many times over the last 15 years have they made it?
Yeah.
I
Here's
mean,
yeah, and it's like the Miami Heat always find these random ass dudes that's like they might not score 14, 15 points, but when they're in a game, they matter. Has anyone heard of Haywood Highsmith before? Like I
who
cover a
is
lot of college.
who is that?
I don't know, but apparently he's in his second year in the NBA, and I mean he's not going out there and like scoring 17, 18 points. But last night they're like, we need you. This is a close game, and he's playing 6 minutes of defense, and he
Well,
does get a bucket.
yeah,
So
yeah. He got one bucket, couple boards last night, but looking at this and I have to say this, like a guy he's not putting up huge stats, but is definitely making a difference on this team. How about Kevin Love, man?
I said this during the Knicks series for the Cavs, where I said that I feel like if Kevin Love plays in this series, it changes so much for them because they have the guy who's been there.
Yeah,
And you know
yeah.
what?
Well,
Miami is really enjoying having the guy that's been there.
yeah. Well, not only is he the guy that's been there, but he has such a high basketball IQ. He's so good at throwing outlet passes. He's an excellent passer. He's
I
always
think
been a
he's the
great
best outlet
shooter.
passer of all time.
Okay,
I
I
really do.
I can't argue with that on that one. But you just look and see what they've been doing to this team. I mean, and they've been getting Max Strus, man. He's been playing decently. I mean, they just have so many. They've been getting so much production out of guys that you just wouldn't think you'd get super duper production out of right now. And Jimmy, 10 assists, 27 points, 6 rebounds in 42 minutes. Played, basically the whole game.
Yeah.
Just an incredible player. I mean, where are we at right now in talking about the legacy of Jimmy Butler? Where are you at right now? Because it's a complicated one, I feel like, because
The
uh,
multiple teams and
multiple
how
teams.
he's left teams. But I think that everything you hear is like maybe not Minnesota wise, but you never hear people complain about being Jimmy Butler's teammate. Um, and I
Unless
think
you're Cats.
right, I said unless you're in
Yeah,
Minnesota,
unless you're Minnesota. Yeah.
that Jeff Teague like doing that podcast telling the story of that practice was
Oh my God.
incredible. That was so
Oh my
good.
God.
Yeah, it was so good. But I mean, he's certainly a Hall of Famer, and if you try to argue otherwise at this point, you're wrong. Um,
I'd
they won.
I'd love
They
to see.
won.
I mean, if he gets a chip, he's definitely in the Hall of Fame.
I think he's definitely in the Hall of Fame. I think a
You
chip.
think he is? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, multiple time All Star, multiple time All Defense. You know, um, has been to a finals. I know it's a finals that people are always going to try to like discredit because LeBron won it, but um, it is a finals. It goes into
I,
the record books.
yeah, I mean, it looks like you said, so 6-time All-Star, 4-time All-NBA third team, 5-time NBA All-Defensive second team, most improved player in 2015, and the NBA steals leader in 2021.
Yeah.
So, pretty solid resume right now. It's like we get a couple more All-Star things on there or a championship. We're looking pretty for a Hall of Fame induction for him. I like you said, he's going to probably make it regardless. Do you ever like? I often like to compare players from eras and guys that just work harder than everyone. And the only comparison in American sports that I could ever throw out. You know what I'm probably going to throw out. My favorite baseball player of all time, Ricky Henderson. A guy.
Jimmy's going to get 3 steals today.
Well, I mean, you look at Ricky. I think Ricky's one of the greatest players of all time, and I even though like I don't think he gets enough credit for what he did over his career.
Oh, that I 1,000,000% agree with.
I mean, there's a lot of guys that, you know, got more home runs and everything, but he was probably the best leadoff hitter of his era. You know, he worked harder. He was in his 11th season when he broke the steals record. So, and then he continued onward for like another 12 years after that. I mean, it just kept adding to it. So, but I look at someone like Jimmy, who is kind of a lone wolf. Mm-hmm. You don't see him palling around with a whole lot of people unless it's Mark Wahlberg. But you just don't see him. There's just no nonsense there. He's working hard, and, you know, he comes to work with the hard hat on, and no matter what, he's like, you know what? He's like, I smell blood in the water. Let's go ahead and try to do this. And he's doing very similarly what LeBron is doing on the West side right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's like, this is anyone's championship this year. And we have a shot. We have 2 all-stars on this team. We have a bunch of role players. We got Kevin Love, who's been on here, has been in the NBA finals before, won a chip. We've got a really good team. And they very well could make it to the NBA finals again this year. I mean, I don't think that's out of question at all.
No, not at all. I think, I mean, especially they match up very, very well with Boston.
Yeah.
The Heat are zombies, man. Like, they're just like, you can never, ever like get rid of them. You can never, no matter how bad it looks, like they can have an eyeball hanging out. They're going to put it right back in, and they're going to come right back after you.
And give credit to Erik Spoelstra, a guy that, you know, during his first couple years, I mean, it was easy to clown him because I'm like, this guy just got promoted to a role. He has 3 of the best players in the world, probably the best 3 players in the world on one team, you know, so it's easy to think about that. But over the years, he has built such a resume. He has developed such a culture with Pat Riley there. It's hard-nosed. And I've said this before, City of Miami, you don't deserve this team.
Oh no, you're going to get people mad at us again. You're going to get people mad at us again.
You don't deserve them, man. Like, I mean, I'm glad they're in Miami. I don't want them to move or anything like that. It would be silly, but you know, but it is funny. Like, I've noticed the last couple of games, a lot of those seats in the lower bowl, they're filled now. You know, people are coming because, you know, we're back.
Yeah, I think when you look at like the track that they had to get to where they're at, makes it even more impressive in the sense that they lose the play-in game to the Hawks. They're down to the Bulls with like 4 minutes,
2 minutes left. Yeah.
And pull it off by like 10. Not a Bulls team to lay an egg. No way. It couldn't be them. But and then go to Milwaukee and beat them in 5. I understand Giannis misses a game or 2. And then now go to the Garden. So, you know, where they're placed, no matter what, they're not ever going to have home court advantage in a playoff series because they're the 8th seed. So when they go to Philly, when they go to Philly or Boston the next round, they have to play there to start the series. So I think they like, I was going to say, I think they like that.
They do.
Yeah. They're like, all right. You know, like, you remember the Bengals Super Bowl run when the Bengals, like, they had the first round, they were at home, and the rest of the way they were on the road?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
They loved it. Loved it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I feel like Miami has a lot of that chip on their shoulder. Yeah, you know, you're absolutely right. I think, too, I know the Celtics, as much as they want to go to the finals, I know they do not want to play the Miami Heat next round.
I don't think anybody wants to play Miami.
Nope. You never want to play the Miami Heat.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah. On the next side of things, you know, like you mentioned Randall saying, you know, maybe they just want it more. I feel like they just look gassed. Like Jalen Brunson just looks gassed.
Well, and here's the other thing. I mean, any team that's playing for Coach Tibbs is going to get ran into the ground. He expects a lot. Yeah. he expects so much of his players. And a guy like Jalen Brunson, who has to play like he's 2 feet taller than he already is, game in and game out. And he's an excellent player. I'm never gonna,
Love him.
yeah, he's so good. He's got a great chip on his shoulder. The Dallas Mavericks, we were all kind of like, oh, they might not miss him that much. They might be able to replace him. And then like they weren't able to at all. And he was the exact player that they needed this year to be able to get to the next level. And they just let everybody walk. And then they're like, you know what? Let's bring in Kyrie. That's cool. That'll work.
I can't believe we're talking about a team that had Kyrie Irving on it that sabotaged, and it wasn't because of Kyrie Irving.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, you're right. It wasn't even his fault.
Yeah, it's fascinating. But yeah, Brunson's, just so good and so talented. And you definitely see but I just feel like he just looks like just exhausted. And I think a lot of it's just how Miami's playing him. And that's where you're kind of really seeing a lot more of. So let's bring Josh. Looks like he just popped in. Hey, buddy, how are you?
Good evening, fellas.
Yeah. How's everything?
Good. We were shopping for school dance ensembles.
Right
so
on.
Was out looking for a suit.
It's prom season.
Yeah.
Right on.
So
where does the kid get a suit these days?
Well, when you have a kid that's 5'11", it's pretty easy to put him in an adult suit.
Okay. Fair. I don't want to get to the Lakers Warriors yet. I want to save that for last. And I know we have 2 games going on tonight for the other 2 series, but real quick, we don't have to go deep dive into Philly, Boston, because they're playing right now and Philly's up at half. But I feel like Boston is just totally forgetting who they are through this series and what they do and what we've seen all year. Like there were points this year, if you guys remember, I was like, Boston's going to the finals. Boston's winning this whole thing. They don't look like the team that they were when I said that. Al Horford has guarded Joel Embiid very, very well through this series, but they're also at times forgetting to guard Joel Embiid, which is very laughable to me. James Harden, when he hits, he's awesome. If he has a bad shooting game, they're a disaster. And he's been overall -1 game, pretty damn good this series. So I really I think these teams match up really well together. And I really want to see Philadelphia win this. You guys know this. I really want to see the Sixers I want to see the Sixers Heat Eastern Conference Finals so bad. And just see Jimmy Butler with a chip on his shoulder against one of his former teams with a shot at the finals. But
he might end James Harden if he gets in
you're
there
right.
with him. He might just make him. He might shoot like 3 for 17 or something a game, and then we're gonna be like, "Welp, back to normal."
He's like, "Hey James, I checked your bags. They're in Houston already for you."
Well, you got to remember, man, the 2 games that Philly won in this series was that they won the first game, which we were all like super shocked, and Embiid didn't play. And then the second game, they won off of if Smart had a couple tenths of a second left, he makes a shot at the end of that game that counts, and they lose that game. So the 2 games that the Celtics have won have been blowouts.
Yeah, it's weird.
So it's been super weird. And right now, Philly's up 14. They're kind of rolling. So
in the Garden.
Yeah. I don't know. I felt like Philly earlier this year. I told you guys they constructed their team, I think, specifically to try to beat Milwaukee. But I think when they did that, I don't think they realized how good Maxey was going to be overall, and he's stepped up a lot. And now they're getting like 2006-17 James Harden back.
Yeah, you're right.
So they win this game, man, and they go back to Philly. Like that's tough for Boston to come out of that hole.
It is, man. And you look at they have full on gone. So tonight their bench has gotten them 4 points so far. Daniel House Jr. has a bucket and Paul Reed has a bucket. Shout out my guy Paul Reed, by the way. Loved him at DePaul. Paul Reed and Max Strus were college teammates. I don't know if people remember this, but they played together on a really bad DePaul team, and now look at them doing their thing in the playoffs. So
you almost wonder why they were that bad with these 2 guys in the league all of a sudden.
It's DePaul, I think is the best way to put it. They haven't been good since Q Rich was there. But yeah, I think they're a team that leans a lot on their starters. Like you said, the Philly wins tonight. They should win this series, and we'll update it through the show, obviously, just so like whenever people listen to this tomorrow, they know where we're at in the game. But I just still feel like Doc Rivers is going to find a way to coach them out of winning this series. He's going to find a way to out X and O himself and be like, all right, so let's just not run anything for Joel, and let's just put James in the corner, and let's bring in Daniel House to play for offense only. And you're going to be like, oh no.
Well, that could happen. Or I feel like you say that all the time, Tim.
And
okay, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
I say he has been the finals in 14 years.
It's true, man.
He's
yeah.
He's the John Calipari of the NBA.
That's a great
comp.
That's a perfect comp.
Don't even get me started on Calipari.
It's true. He's got, Doc has Joel Embiid and James Harden. That's like incomparable to like DJ Wagner and Robert Dillingham, Dillingham, whatever the hell his name is coming to Kentucky this year. It's going to be really good. It's the same thing. Tyrese Maxey has played for Calipari and Doc Rivers. Corporate wants you to find the difference in these two pictures. It's the same picture.
Right.
Yeah, it's been a really, really, really interesting matchup. I've really enjoyed this series, and I really just want to see Philly just burn it down.
Hey, has there ever been a more like productive plus minus guy on the floor that doesn't score points more than PJ Tucker?
I don't think so.
No.
I don't think so.
My man's just out here, no points, just 5 rebounds, no assists, +8. Just
Ben Wallace would get like 5 points. You know what I mean? Like Dennis Rodman would get 7 points in games. You know what I mean? Like PJ Tucker doesn't even get that. He's like, I don't shoot. Like, yeah, we play 5 and 4 on offense, but guess what? On defense, I'm 2 people. So,
which is crazy because he hit like a couple really big shots in that first game.
Yeah, he did.
From the corner. And I was like, this is why you bring a guy like this in, man. Like, he doesn't got to score all game, but he'll get him when you need him.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think it's going to be really, really interesting to see how this lines up. I think all these series, really, this has been like, we talked about before you got on, Josh, like it's just been such a great playoffs, especially compared to like, I feel like the last, like basically since the bubble, I've been to the point where I'm like, can this season just end already?
Well, when have you ever felt like the second round games in the NBA have been this like competitive and probably this even when it comes to just like powerhouse teams because you don't have a definitive clear cut favorite to win a championship?
I think the last time you can probably say that the playoffs was this even, and this is just off the top of my head, I'm sure it's been very close since then. But Mike's last championship. So we've talked a million times about how good the Pacers were that year. But on the West side, like Utah had a really, really tough West that year too that they had to get through. Played a lot of really good teams coming up to that. Obviously, they played the Lakers in the first round. That's the infamous Kobe Bryant air balls, things like that. But yeah, I mean, off top there, maybe like those Heat teams that were going through Indiana, and on the other side, San Antonio's going through Dallas and teams like that.
That was Pacers series. Whew.
Yeah, those were great. And but yeah, you're right, man. I guess 16. There was 3 teams that were really capable of winning the title.
Well, if you look at it right now, I mean, the only team that we really truly are looking at and saying like, you probably don't belong is the Knicks, maybe. And I don't even know if that's really the case.
Yeah, that's what we were just talking about. I feel like they just like Shaw was talking about. Randall mentioned in the presser, he's like the Heat just want it more, and I said like I just feel like they look gassed. I feel like Miami is just like blown them up. Yeah, so
playoff Jimmy, man, like he's a different monster.
16 game player. He doesn't give a shit about those 82. Get him to those 16. He'll figure it out. Boy. So talk about guys who have figured it out in the playoffs. Let's talk about Devin frickin' Booker, guys.
Ooh.
Holy mackerel. I thought Denver was just going to run over them. I'm going to be honest. Like, they went up 2-0.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, God. Phoenix looks tired. Those guys were playing so many minutes. It's like, this doesn't look good. And then, of course, they go to Phoenix. Booker and Durant game 3 are lights out. Game 4, they're lights out again. Obviously, we know that they're the most dynamic scoring duo in the NBA together. No one's going to argue that. It's what they do. But look, they're doing this without getting nothing, just about nothing from DeAndre Ayton in most of these games. Like, let's just call it what it is.
And also bringing up, the title of this episode.
Yeah.
Is Phoenix better without Chris Paul, which is something that Josh brought up in a group text. Chris Paul is off this team. He's hurt. I am shocked.
I can just see the shock in your face, actually.
Did I not call this?
Bro, Chris Paul getting hurt in the playoffs is clockwork. It is clockwork.
I mean, it's amazing. I say it every year, and every year it happens. It's like, don't depend on this guy. He could be 45 years old and averaging a triple-double, and we'd be like, no, this is it. This is the year. There's no way he's getting hurt, and then something happens in the playoffs. No matter
the one year he doesn't get hurt, they go to the finals. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Well, actually, did he get hurt that year? I think he did get hurt. Did he miss a game in the finals that year?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay, maybe I'm wrong. So,
but this team, I mean, it's got to say something when you're putting the ball in Devin Booker's hands. I mean, Devin Booker is just he's like you said, he's incredible. He's playing incredible, and then you have Kevin Durant, possibly the best player in the NBA. Like, just putting those two together and just putting the ball in their hands, and like you said, they're not getting anything from DeAndre.
Dude, like this team starts Josh Okogie.
Do you think that he likes basketball?
No.
Like, what is he even doing here? He wanted to go to Indiana. Like, he's like, I won out. He doesn't want to be there. And now he's like this reluctant center on this team with championship aspirations. It doesn't make any sense. And it's like, I don't trust him. Like, I don't trust him, because he is a player who was supposed to be giving you way more than you're getting. And
we know he's capable of doing it. We know he's really good.
And he's capable of doing it. But like in a situation like this, would you rather have DeAndre Ayton, who's giving you nothing, or would you rather have, a guy who's just kind of a system dude who's going to be like let's say a Kevon Looney? Would you rather have a Kevon Looney right now than DeAndre Ayton?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm at the point of give me Jock Landale. Start Jock Landale. Play him 20 minutes. Play him 31 minutes.
Jock Landale's
going to try.
He's an energy guy, man.
Yeah, he's going to fight. He's like going to go out there and do his thing. He knows he's got to guard Jokic. He's going to fight for Jokic. He's going to make sure he gets his boys in there and he takes care of Jokic so his guys can score. Josh Okogie, who I made fun of and is obviously not a very good offensive player, would not start on many different teams that are in the playoffs, but it's doing what he needs to do for this team. Cameron Payne, who I think at one point we literally claimed to be the worst player in the NBA, is now starting on a team with title aspirations.
True story. I think we actually said that.
I think, I definitely said it.
So this last game that they played where Phoenix won, a couple things stood out to me. DeAndre Ayton was minus 13 on the floor and Jock Landale was plus 16.
Wow.
Plus the Suns bench, who we've been kind of riding on the whole series so far for not helping and showing up. Every guy that played was plus 8 or more. Landry was plus 15, and he put up a 19 spot. So, their bench gave him some production. And out of the starters, KD and Booker were the only two that were in double digits. I think they both had 36. But I don't think people are understanding what Devin Booker's doing in the playoffs right now.
My Lord.
I sent this guy to you. I sent it to you guys. His shooting splits, he's shooting 61% from the field for the entire playoffs.
Wow.
He's shooting 65% in this Denver series. He's shooting 51% from 3-point range, almost 90% from the free throw line. And to me, that is just insane for a shooting guard to be able to put those splits up.
Oh, by the way, he had 12 assists too.
And he had 12 assists. And this is where I'm starting to think that they're better off on the floor without Chris Paul, because I think Booker solidified himself last year when Chris Paul was hurt, and a little bit this year. He can run the point. He can facilitate the offense. And now you have another guy in KD who can just go wherever you need him to go to on the floor and get shots up. So I almost feel like Chris Paul's holding them back.
They definitely play faster without him.
Yeah. I mean, he's 38 now?
It's not even that point. I mean, LeBron's 38 and the Lakers play fast with him. But my point being that, he's not there just dribbling the air out of the ball and running the shot clock down, and then they run a set. They're get the rebound, push it, get the guy down the court, find Booker, find Durant. Okay, perfect. That was a possession. If those guys miss, you're more comfortable with them missing than, having Torrey Craig come in and take a shot, right? You're far more comfortable if Durant or Booker have the ball in their hands anywhere in the half court than that situation. So I love what they're doing. I love that it's whoever gets the board brings it down, pushes it up the court, finds someone cutting to the rim, or finds someone in the corner, and it's beautiful. It's been great.
I want people to take this into consideration too, that Kevin Durant is having a horrible shooting series from three.
Yeah.
I think he's shooting 25% from the 3-point line, and he's still shooting 48% from the field.
And we didn't even talk about yet the fact that in that game, Nikola Jokic had 53 points.
Yeah. I was going to bring that up. He had an incredible game, and I don't know about this Nuggets team, guys. It's a
no way.
Yeah, I know we've been talking about it the entire year, literally. Yeah, I think we may have said frauds at one point.
I know I did. I mean, but they're also playing against Devin Booker, who is the Ellie De La Cruz of basketball. So
yeah.
Well,
go ahead, Josh.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I don't understand. I would almost want to be in an organization to try to understand how guys get picked to play in certain games and how guys don't. And I know sometimes it's a matchup thing, but then there's sometimes where guys are just not playing, and I don't understand why. For instance, why is Reggie Jackson not touching the floor? And I'm not saying this in a bad way. Last year when Reggie Jackson had to carry the Clippers basically on his back in the playoffs, I mean, he was balling out. And now you're telling me this guy can only get 3 minutes a game? And I'm sure we'll talk about
it all in this game.
Yeah, and we'll talk about the other guy here in a minute when we talk about the other series that I kept asking the same question for 2 months. I mean,
Zeke Naji can't play in this series?
Yeah, Zeke Naji. So those two guys specifically, Jeff Green's only playing 16 minutes. You got to spell these starters out, man, because starting five, we've already said, your starting five is probably top 2 or 3 in basketball. But after that, it's kind of a wrap.
And they only ran 8 players that game, right? Is that what they ran last game? I mean, that's a really short bench.
But even in that case of that time, so Christian Braun played 8 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's you can say he played, but took 2 shots.
Yeah.
Which is weird. I like Christian Braun a lot, actually.
I do too. He's got some bunnies, man.
Yeah, he does. So, I don't know. I think Phoenix is going to win this series. I really do. I think they're going to win tonight.
Something's changed in that. Something's changed in that series. Yeah, like I said, the only thing that's different is Chris Paul's out.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what it is.
So should we get to it?
Might as well.
All right. So the Los Angeles Lakers have a 3-1 lead on the Golden State Warriors, the defending champs right now. And I still do not feel comfortable with it. I still feel like
you're
I said earlier,
superstitious.
So we were texting about this really early this morning. I was at the gym. So I got up really early today because these West Coast games, I'm an old man. I can't stay up for them. So I watched the game on my phone when I'm doing cardio at the gym this morning. And I'm like, what is going on here? how did this happen? How did they make this big comeback? This and that. And I'm like, oh, Lonnie Walker goes crazy in the fourth quarter. And Sean goes, I can't believe that this might be the dude that ends the Warriors. And I said, I got to see the body before I proclaim them dead. I got to see the body before I proclaim them dead, because I just feel like, one, I definitely think they're winning tomorrow. I definitely think this is going to Los Angeles for Game 6. But even if they're down 3-1, three things. One, they've been in this situation before. They're not phased. They've been down a series. Two, they're playing the guy who came back from 3-1 on them to win the championship. They're one black hole in their legacy. You don't think they want to get that revenge? You don't think they want to get that back? Yeah, those dudes want to get that back. And three, what they did in the fourth quarter to really take LeBron and Anthony Davis out of the game plan and be like, all right, beat us with Austin Reeves and Lonnie Walker. And it worked, I think but 10 times out of 10, you're going to take that shot, right? You're going to take that chance that Lonnie Walker's going to beat you over those two. And it just worked.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So,
he's and this is a guy who hasn't played that much.
No, he played in game
all.
2. Yeah, he played in game 1. I think he had like 12 points.
I'm not even going to lie to you. I forgot he was on the team until I woke up this morning.
You thought he was one of the guys traded at the deadline? You thought they
had
like 17 players.
Well, it wasn't even that. It's just I completely forgot about, because I remember at the beginning of the season we talked about him and how he might be a nice piece for this team and everything. And it's like he got lost in all these big trade accusations and everything over the last couple of months. And he comes out and they trusted him to go out and do that. And he does it. Huge.
He didn't even take a shot the first 3 quarters. And the fourth quarter, he just goes wild. Yeah. I love that they plug and play. They're like a college team where it's like, okay, we have this matchup now. Okay, they're going to start Gary Payton. Wiggins is going to take the jump against Davis. So we're going to play Lonnie Walker. Okay, tomorrow they're bringing Looney back in the starting lineup. Let's get more minutes for Vando here, and let's bring this guy up to get him some more time. It's like the way Darvin Ham does it, because he knows he can't out X&O Steve Kerr, but he might be able to out personnel him in some situations. Obviously, they don't have anyone that can guard Steph Curry. They don't have anyone that can guard Klay Thompson. But what they can do is they can throw all these bodies at you that you are not game planning for. And that's what they kind of really did this last couple games. I think the one thing that really jumps out to me too, and I think Josh, we might have talked about this off air, but what the Golden State was doing so well in this game was they were taking AD out of the post and making him guard Steph on the perimeter and like taking him out of the post and pick and rolls. And it worked over and over and over again. And then they just stopped doing it at one point. Just full on were like, that was working, so let's try something else. And that's when the Lakers were like, got back in the game and go on this big run. I don't know. I think Dennis Schroeder's been tremendous this series. Like, he's been really good. But they're getting different things from different guys, Austin Reeves, D'Angelo Russell, etc. But with that being said, that team still has Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, Kevon Looney, Andrew Wiggins. I think it's at least going 6.
I don't know. I don't know.
They're not going to lay down. They're not going to quit.
So,
all right.
So look, with 2 minutes, it was like 2 minutes and 30 something seconds left. Klay hit a 3 to put Golden State up 3. And from that moment, the game felt really weird. And I think what felt weird about it, like what you said, Tim, and we have been talking about this, they were getting whoever Davis was guarding, they were having that guy come up and set a screen so that they could get the switch with Curry. And then Curry was just driving to the basket on him. And he was getting shots off, and he was getting so he even got a 4-point play towards the end of the game, like where he got fouled. And then I know that that's the greatest backcourt, the greatest shooting backcourt ever, but their shot selection in the last minute of that game was something I had never seen. And I'm like, I was like, why did you shoot that shot? And then heat check, Clay tried to go heat check on him and he like hit the side of the backboard and I'm just like, you can't win games like that. Like, why did you stop doing what you were doing?
Yeah,
you were attacking. You were attacking. You were attacking. You were getting all kind of baskets at the rim because Steph was driving and dishing. And then you just stopped doing that. Like, how many assists did Steph have? 12?
Yeah, triple-double.
12 assists. The game they won, Steph also had 12 or 13 assists or something like that. And they just stopped going to that. And I feel like that's their recipe for winning is Steph has to not maybe score as much, but he has to be more of a distributor and get the defense collapsed on him so he can kick it out. And his guys got to knock down shots. And I'm always going to say, man, if they lose this series, I don't care how everyone else plays. If they lose this series, to me, it has to go back to the guy that you paid all the money to who has not showed up. And that's Jordan
Poole.
Yep. Who put up a goose egg last night.
Total goose egg. But how did you guys feel about them starting Gary Payton in his place?
It doesn't make sense to me. I understand what they were trying to do in the circumstance of going small and trying to be faster than the Lakers, but at some point size really matters here. And you're seeing that's how the Lakers are beating them up so much. I mean, Jared Vanderbilt's got a lot of situations where he's the one guarding Steph Curry. Obviously a much bigger dude. Though Steph is pretty shredded. Like, let's call it what it is. But I didn't love it.
It felt very forced.
It felt desperate.
Desperate. It was a very desperate move when they announced that they were going to be starting Gary Payton. He's a fantastic role player. I think he's missed a step since last year. I'll say it. And I think
he's also been hurt. Yeah.
He's also been hurt. I don't know if he's still hurt or whatever, but I look at how much money they paid him this offseason. And he was amazing last year, especially in the playoffs. He looked incredible. He looked like the heir apparent to the Splash Brothers. Like he was going to be the next guy that they brought up. And he was shooting. So there were so many shots he made last year. I was like, oh my God, this guy's picking up. It's almost like he's basically possessing the same powers at some of the same time as the other players on this team. And I'm like, this is the next generation of this team. And that's not going to happen now. Like, I think he's gone at the end of this year completely. Like, I think if they lose this series, they are done with him. Like I can't see them justifying keeping him. I don't know who would want him. Someone would probably want to take a flyer on him, but
oh, sure they would.
I mean, he might be one of those guys who needs to change his scenery or whatever, but I just don't understand how you disappear like this in the playoffs. I mean, it felt like they had like a secret weapon last year with this dude, and just to transgress this way.
The crazy thing is he actually his scoring average went up this year. His shooting was a little off, but I feel like he definitely like he averaged more assists a game. So like his game grew, right? But it grew in like the wrong places at the wrong time.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be one of those people that go back to the whole situation that started before the season happened, and say, was that really a big piece of why this is going on? But I feel like when you look at like a lot of the guys that go through Golden State, I'm going to use Damian Lee as an example. He's what, Steph's brother-in-law or stepbrother or brother-in-law. He married Steph's sister. I feel like though that culture rubs off on you. So if you look at like what Damian Lee did this year after leaving Golden State, he was like top 3 in the league in 3-point percentage. I know he didn't shoot a lot of threes, but I'm saying like when you're working out with those dudes every single day, you're working out with Clay and you're working out with Steph. Like, I don't feel like you have a choice but to be better. Like they're just going to leave you in the dust. So I wonder if Jordan Poole like pulled himself away and like wasn't training with those guys, kind of like secluded himself after that incident and kind of just went on his own, because that's what I feel like, and I think they're trying to do all they can to say, no, he's part of the team. He's part of the team, but it feels like he's just distant to everybody else.
I would agree with that.
Yeah. I think that's a fair assessment. Yeah, because it's like, so with them, Moses Moody's playing a ton, and
yeah,
and playing well too.
Yeah, I like Moses Moody a lot. So, Dante DiVincenzo's obviously been like seamless to this team. This is a perfect
Dude, I
addition.
really, really, really like him.
I did too.
Yeah.
I loved him at Villanova. Loved him at Villanova. But like I said, I think last night was just kind of one of those things where it's like we kind of were like, all right, we're gonna take LeBron and AD out and see if one of their guys will beat us, and one of their guys beat him. I mean, Rui barely played in this game, and Rui's been incredible this whole playoffs.
Yeah,
so,
he has.
I think they win. I think Golden State wins tomorrow. Sean doesn't feel like he's as confident as I am.
No,
I don't feel like it's over just yet. I don't think they'll win 3 in a row to end the series and knock them out, but I would not be shocked.
Here's what I've learned is that they've proved, even though they've lost, they've proved that they can play on the road with the Lakers.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Now they just got to hold home court advantage and win that game on the road. So game 6 is like a tell-all of, if you get to game 7,
LeBron's gonna be sweating bullets. Like, all these jokes I made, I won a championship with this. Like,
I had a cake with their dead bodies on it. We'll bring that up.
So let me ask you this:
he just deletes all those pictures off his Instagram. Like, that never happened.
What does that do for LeBron's legacy? Just per se, they lose this series being up 3-1.
Then I don't know at this point if it really matters. You know what I mean? We're 20 years in. Like, people who find ways to discredit him will still throw it in his face. But I don't think Curry losing this series, if the Lakers do win it, does anything to his legacy. So,
I mean, they both underperformed through the season, and just made it to the playoffs into this this weird series. And I don't really think there's shame on any of them winning or losing, to be honest.
No, I agree.
I mean, we're talking about one of the greatest let's say 2 of the greatest players of all time are in this series, and they've
the 2 most important players of their generation.
Absolutely. And I just don't think this late in their career it's really much of a blemish. Someone's going to have to lose.
Right.
And the like you guys said, the LeBron haters are going to come out and they will throw this out. Oh, yeah, here he is again losing and everything, and it's like, okay, well, I think the Lakers are going to win this series, but if that ends up happening, it's whatever, man.
Yeah.
Whatever, man.
Yeah, and I think the same thing for Golden State. If I think the only thing we're going to leave this Golden State conversation, if the Lakers do hold on, is just going to be was that it? Is this the end of that group? And I don't know. I just feel like they're going to play together forever. I feel like that they're just those 3 dudes are going to retire together. But it's going to come up in conversation an awful lot until a decision's made, especially with this being Draymond's free agent year.
Yeah.
So just off subject, did you guys see Gary Payton run off the floor?
The first or the second? Gary Payton,
the first one.
Yes.
Where he just ran back into the locker room, and I was like, what in the world is going on? And then they came out and said that my man threw up in his mouth and was holding it in his mouth, and that's why he ran back to the locker room.
I did see that.
My Lord.
Yeah.
Was you playing that hard, man?
Because I saw Gary Payton Sr. at one point brush shoulders with LeBron at halftime.
I saw that.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting. Who's he rooting for in this series? He is a former Laker, after all. He did go to the finals with the Lakers, and I'm kidding.
Yeah.
I obviously know where he's going, where his heart is. Man. But I'm excited to see how this plays out. Yeah, I think game 6 is going to be whoever wins game 6 wins the series.
I think we have underestimated the Lakers roster rebuild.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's gonna if they end up winning the whole thing, and I think they have a great shot at winning the whole thing. Like, I think they have a legitimate great shot at winning. They are a finals contender, but if that happens, we're going to be looking back at this as like a masterclass in rebuilding a roster, at a trade deadline.
Has this ever happened?
With nothing. Like, they had nothing and they turned it into something.
His last Cleveland team completely revamped their roster. They didn't win the championship, but they did full on redo their roster and go to the finals.
So we're talking about the team that basically traded the entire bench that one year. Oh my God, that was Derrick Rose into that. Was he on the team or traded off the team? I don't even remember.
Him, Dwayne Wade, and Isaiah Thomas were traded off the team.
That's right.
In return, they got Larry Nance Jr., Jordan Clarkson, George Hill.
They traded their whole roster that year.
Yeah, basically except for LeBron and Kevin Love. All the pieces they got in the Kyrie Irving trade, they moved at the deadline.
Yeah.
So, except for Jetty. No, it wasn't Jetty. They got some international player that I don't even know if they came over.
We're talking Mozgov, or we're talking
No, Mozgov was before that.
No.
Because Mozgov got that big ass contract with the Lakers after the Cavs won the title.
That's right.
What a deal. Shout out Tristan Thompson, continuing getting paychecks for being LeBron's friend.
Get those checks, man. Get those checks, man. Good for him.
I'm LeBron's friend, therefore you can put me on the Lakers. I'll play when it's a blowout. That's fine.
Yep. Yeah.
I'll celebrate on the bench with my teammates,
Hey,
I'll act like I was there the whole time.
You know what? And if there's a blowout, he gets to run out on the floor and play for a minute.
Yeah.
He got his basket the game before last.
That's right. Yeah. It's like it was like when the Bulls had that one game in the finals against the Jazz when they won 96-54, and everyone was just waiting for Bill Wennington to score at the end of the game so everyone can say they got a basket.
Yeah. Yep.
I was watching The Last Dance was on ESPN the other night, and I caught like episode 8 or 9, and they were just showing those games from the finals and like how much of a grind those games were. 86, 82.
Just
God.
Incredibly just grindy basketball in general.
I think I say I joke all the time. So when Tayshaun Prince had that block on Reggie Miller, it was like 4 minutes ago in the fourth quarter. I think the score was literally like 73-67 at the time of the block. It was something like that.
I know the rules were a little different, but like just two really good defensive teams playing each other.
Yeah.
And that's what you get as a result of that. So,
well, when Kobe lost the Lakers that series against the Pistons, I mean, when the Lakers played the Pistons in the finals, and those games were very grindy as well, and it was like double digits every night. Side note on The Last Dance, we've talked about this before, Sean and I have. Why did they just totally skip over the 97 team? The 97 team was so dope, and they were just like, they won the title. On to the 98 team.
I remember getting in an argument with you about that. You're like, no, they talked about it, I'm pretty sure. And I'm like, no. I'm like, they show him win that championship, cry in the locker room. They end up playing that it's a cover of a song that Jose I'm trying to think what his name is. Jose Garcia, I think, played. And they play that cover, and then it goes into the next season. It's like, yep, we're back in the playoffs. And we won. And I'm like, you completely skipped over it. Like, it was only about the 96 season and the 98 season. They don't talk about the 97 season at all in that documentary. We could have had 2 more episodes of that, and that would have been wonderful, because that was like something I didn't want that thing to end.
They didn't. You're right. They didn't, but they did talk about the finals in '97. That last episode
they
before the
completely went through it. Yeah,
they were like, and the Bulls went 72-10, won a championship, and they are in the finals against the Jazz again. And you're like, well, they just automatically got put in the finals.
Well, it's kind of like, during the first three-peat, it's like, yeah, well, they end up beating the Trailblazers, and it's like, we get the shot of the shrug. That's it, like that's it.
Yeah.
That's that one season, because it's right there in the middle, packed in between.
Don't even talk about one of the greatest EA Sports basketball games of all time because of that series, Bulls versus Blazers.
Oh, Yes.
Literally an all-time video game, an all-timer.
That was the first. Was it one of the first games that had like authentic, like moves of guys?
Yeah.
There was one of the NBA lives, and this is, we should probably end the show here, but now I'm just having fun. One of the NBA lives when Jordan was in his retirement, when he was playing minor league baseball, where they weren't able to put him in the game because of the MBPA agreement, but you could go in to create a player and type in Michael Jordan, and it would automatically fill in all of his attributes.
Well, it wasn't just him. It was
Larry Bird was one.
Yeah, there was. I think all of the players from like the top 50 team were built in there. Like George Mikan was in there.
Mm-hmm.
I went really deep with that one year. So, but yeah, Bulls versus Blazers was the predecessor to NBA Live. So that was kind of the first NBA Live that came out. But I think they only in Bulls versus Blazers there was like no season mode. I think it was just playoffs, right? Yeah. Weird.
If I remember correctly too, the Dream Team game, you could only play against the Dream Team. It was Team USA versus Team USA, I think. It was something weird like that.
So weird. Yeah. Whatever.
Yeah. Real quick before we get out of here, any complaints about all defensive teams besides Anthony Davis not being picked for one?
I think we're all about sick of Anthony Davis not being on an all defensive team. I think if you really look at it, though, I think it came down to him not playing enough games.
Yeah, I was fine with it. Alex Caruso, first team all defense. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, Bulls had something to brag about today.
Dude, they were actually I was looking more and more into it because, the year they had was terrible, obviously. They were like a top 5 defense in the NBA this year.
Yeah, they turned that around. They did. They did.
What the hell?
But it was because of that guy.
Yeah,
and
because he's a psychopath on the defense side.
And the thing that bothers me about that is he had a lot of trade value this year. And we could have dumped him off for some draft picks or something. And they're like, no, let's just hold on to him for another year. So we could almost make the playoffs and then lose our draft pick.
You guys feel any sort of way about Giannis not getting picked?
I thought his tweet was really funny when he was like, I'm so tired of the disrespect. I'm like, beat an 8 seed. All right, bro, beat an 8 seed. And then we'll talk about respecting you. All right.
Yeah.
You're the best player in the world and you can't beat an 8 seed. So.
Well, he was hurt 2 games.
Okay. Yes. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt there for sure.
Okay. All right.
Oh, and USC basketball added yet another celebrity son today.
Who?
DJ Rodman, son of Dennis Rodman, will be teammates with Bronny James next year.
Oh, I thought you were about to tell me that Master P's son came back.
No, I think he's still at Louisville, actually.
Was he in his 7th year now?
Hersey, the 2nd-year player. Yeah, Hersey that played at Xavier.
Not Percy?
Not Percy.
Jr.?
Hersey, yeah.
So Rodman's son is playing there.
Yep. With LeBron's son.
Fantastic.
They are going to be good.
What's USC going to be?
They're going to be pretty good. Not just because of those two, but they got freaking Isaiah Collier. That kid is going to be pretty freaking filthy. So yeah. Well, we'll probably touch on that large bid this week. So keep an eye out for that. They also have their own RSS feed now where you can check them out. So, hey, also check out our TikToks and our YouTubes because we're putting a lot of effort into those as well. Keep an eye out for our episodes here each and every week. We're going to go and wrap this up. Give us 5-star reviews and give us all your monies. See ya.